Okay, this is a very strange but timely review of Military Review magazine or journal from November of 1970. Now, the reason I dug this out, this is part of, I have a whole box of research materials related to the cattle mutilation phenomenon. And I'm going to dig into that a little bit tonight because I think it's very timely in light of many of you who are following some of the international news and not necessarily domestic news are probably aware of the scandal involving the Russian military seizing, I think it was somewhere around the 30 biological labs within Ukraine, and went to the UN Security Council this morning accusing the United States of engaging in illegal chemical and biological warfare and formulating weapons for targeting specific ethnic groups and that sort of thing, and looking to transmit this by way of animals. So, and to the layperson that might sound just patently absurd because, I mean, that's crazy, right? Except that has been the goal of military planners for a long time, going back to November of 1970, which brings us to this Military Review journal. And very first article in this November 1970 issue is ethnic weapons. So let's read a little bit of important stuff here. Ethnic weapons, this outlines the idea of using biological or chemical weapons, but more specifically biological weapons that are designed to target specific ethnic groups. Now, in this instance, they're talking about targeting ethnic groups in Southeast Asia because obviously 1970, this was during the Vietnam War, so Southeast Asia or the Asian continent in general was a prime target of weapons like this. So this article was written by Karl A Larson, which I'm to assume by his writing that he was in fact criminally insane. But on page 11, I'm just going to read a little part of this. He says, well, first of all, let me lay some groundwork here. The methodology that he explains here, because a lot of you are probably thinking, like, how would you even do that to target specific ethnicities or anything like that? Well, first of all, we have the Human Genome Project, which has mapped the human genome to a point where that's probably way more probable than we're aware now. But also, even in 1970, the example he gives is in European genetics are less inclined towards lactose intolerance. Most Europeans are used to drinking milk and eating milk products, dairy products, cheese, that sort of thing. Whereas a lot of the people on the Asian continent are less likely to be lactose tolerant. So lactose intolerance is much more common on the Asian continent. And he talks about how that enzyme that is typically found more in European biology, that enzyme for processing milk, that could be exploited to either target the people who process more milk products or dairy products, or targeting the lack of that enzyme in the Southeast Asian population. So it's important to note that this is, when this was written, this is way past the point of just, this is not just some 20-year-old guys speculating this. This is, obviously this made it into Military Review of November 1970, which I'll link to some of my cattle mutilation books, because I think at the end of this, because I think that is a key component in understanding a lot of the intrigue that's happening right now. But here's just a paragraph from page 11 where he says, friendly forces would discriminatingly use incapacitants, talking about these agents, chemical or biological agents, would discriminately use incapacitants in entangled situations to give friend and foe a short period of enforced rest or to sort them out. So basically, they could use this as an incapacitating thing, possibly like non-lethal warfare. By gentle persuasion, aided by psychochemicals, civilians in enemy cities could be re-educated. The adversary would use incapacitants to spare those whom he could use for slaves. Yeah, this is November 1970. The adversary would use incapacitants to spare those who he could use for slaves. There is little that human biology can contribute to the prognosis of that type. So, anyway, fascinating. If you want to look this up, you can find. I've found my copy of this on eBay. You can find this. I'm sure it's archived in libraries. But the important thing here is you have as far back as 52 years ago, almost 52 years ago, you have open discussion, not classified documents, mind you, of plans to create biologically targeted, ethnically specific weapons that were designed to target specific ethnicities or races in both lethal and non-lethal forms. So anyway, I find that especially interesting given the revelations that we've found out just this week. So there you go, Military Review Journal from November 1970. And one can only hope that Mr. Larson is someplace where he is not a danger to himself or others now.